Hey everyone, I'm General Knowledge and this is part 2 of the collaboration video I did with That Is Interesting, where we talk about some of the autonomous regions throughout the world. He did the first part on my channel and now I'm doing the second part on his. So let's jump straight into it. Quickly understanding what an autonomous zone is. An autonomous area is defined as an area of a country that has a degree of autonomy or has freedom from an external authority. It's typical to be a geographically distant place from the country or to be populated by a national minority. So here are some examples of this throughout the world. First, in Europe, Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is a country, province, or region which is part of the United Kingdom. It is not in the island of Great Britain as the rest of the UK, but rather in the island of Ireland. Northern Ireland was created in 1921, when Ireland was partitioned between North and South. Unlike Southern Ireland, which became the Irish Free State in 1922, the majority of Northern Ireland's population were Unionists, who wanted to remain within the United Kingdom. Most of these were Protestant descendants of colonists from Great Britain. However, a significant minority, mostly Catholics, were nationalists who wanted a united Ireland independent of British rule. All of Ireland was at a certain point part of the UK, but when more and more movements for independence started arising, the South was able to conquer independence after many conflicts. The North, since it had a population whose majority did not wish for independence, remained with the UK, and the relationship between the Republic of Ireland and North Ireland / the UK was not peaceful at all at first. In the late 1960s, conflict between state forces and chiefly Protestant Unionists on the one hand and Catholic nationalists on the other erupted into 3 decades of violence known as the Troubles. However, in 1998, the Good Friday Agreement was able to turn down that pressure. The agreements largely shaped the way that Northern Ireland government functions and its role as an autonomous area within the UK. More and more, the central United Kingdom government has delegated powers to the local one, the Northern Ireland Assembly. So essentially, the Northern Irish have the power of rule over everything except reserved matters, over which the central parliament still rules, such as taxation, international relations, or elections. But who knows, the tendency has been for more powers to be transferred to the local authorities. So maybe one day, Northern Ireland might be fully autonomous and might even choose full independence or union with the South. All the way in China, Hong Kong, officially the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China. This is a metropolitan area and special region of China. Hong Kong became a colony of the British Empire after the Qing Empire ceded the island at the end of the First Opium War in 1842. The colony expanded to the Kowloon Peninsula in 1860 after the Second Opium War and has further extended when Britain obtained a 99-year lease of the new territories in 1898. Eventually, in 1997, the lease ended and the lands were returned to China, just like what happened with Portugal and Macau. As a special administrative region, Hong Kong maintains separate governing and economic systems from that of mainland China under a principle of one country, 2 systems. Although recently it seems this will sadly no longer be the case. China's central government has so far delegated onto Hong Kong their local executive, legislative, and judicial powers. However, their chief executive, somewhat of a prime minister after being elected, still has to be approved by the State Council of China. Recent changes in the territory security laws, giving more power to China's central government, led to many protests which call for the maintaining of Hong Kong's autonomy, with some even claiming full independence or even a sporadic call for the return of British rule. Still in China, but to the northwest, Xinjiang. This is an autonomous region of the People's Republic of China located in the northwest of the country. It's the largest province-level division of China, with over 1.6 million square kilometers and around 25 million people, most of Uyghur origin. The territory came under the rule of the Qing dynasty as well in the 18th century, later replaced by the Republic of China government. Since 1949, it has been a part of the People's Republic of China following the Chinese Civil War. In recent decades, abundant oil and mineral reserves have been found in Xinjiang, and it is currently China's largest natural gas producing region. There have also been some significant moves towards independence as East Turkestan, due to the region's cultural differences towards the rest of China. Cultural differences that China has, according to some, trying to remove through human rights violations of those people, acts which in the past years several countries throughout the world have condemned. Returning to Europe, we have two of them in Portugal. First is the Azores, an autonomous region of the Portuguese Republic, an archipelago composed of 9 islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Since 1976, they have been an autonomous region within Portugal. Its geographical distance justifies it. They have their own local parliament, regional president, and pretty much self-rule, although the central government and the national president in Lisbon have authority over them. And then Madeira. Madeira is also an autonomous region of Portugal. It was claimed by Portuguese sailors in the service of Prince Henry the Navigator in 1419. The archipelago is considered to be the first territorial discovery of the exploratory period of the Age of Discovery. It's technically located off the African coast, but is culturally, economically, and politically European. The region has political and administrative autonomy through the Portuguese constitution. The Portuguese president is represented by a representative of the Republic. Next to Portugal is Spain, and in its south is a British autonomous area, Gibraltar. In 1704, Anglo-Dutch forces captured Gibraltar from Spain during the War of the Spanish Succession. The territory was ceded to Great Britain in perpetuity under the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713, which brought peace after that conflict. Today, it is a British overseas territory, which the Spanish still claim. However, the transfer of rulership to the Spaniards seems to be out of question. In 1967, locals refused it in a referendum, and in 2002, another vote confirmed that they didn't even want shared sovereignty with their northern neighbors. Under its current constitution, Gibraltar has almost complete internal self-governance through their local parliament. The head of state is the British monarch, who is represented by the governor of Gibraltar. The governor enacts day-to-day matters on the advice of the Gibraltar parliament, but is responsible to the British government in respect of defense, foreign policy, internal security, and judicial nominations. Another British one is Jersey. Jersey is one of the Channel Islands between England and France, being a British crown dependency. A lieutenant governor on the island is the personal representative of the Queen. Jersey was part of the Duchy of Normandy, whose dukes went on to become kings of England in 1066. In fact, despite English being the main language, some locals still speak Gerrier, a form of Norman language. Normandy was soon lost by the kings of England in the 13th century, and the ducal title surrendered to France. However, Jersey and the other Channel Islands remained attached to the English crown. Jersey is a self-governing parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy with its own financial, legal, and judicial systems, and the power of self-determination. So, who knows, maybe one day it will reach full independence, although I imagine economically it would struggle a lot without Britain's support. However, Jersey is not officially part of the United Kingdom and has a separate international identity, although the UK is constitutionally responsible for its defense. And the third example of this country's autonomous zones is the Isle of Man, a self-governing British Crown dependency located between Great Britain and Ireland. The head of state, Queen Elizabeth II, holds the title of Lord, or I guess in this case, Lady of Man, and is represented by a lieutenant governor. The UK has responsibility for the island's military defense. The island used to be ruled by Norwegian Vikings, but after a peace treaty with the Scottish, it became under Scottish rule in 1266, eventually being transferred into England's ownership in 1399. However, throughout all this time, it has always retained its internal self-government, and their self-rule is noticed through some specific times. For instance, in 1881, the Isle of Man Parliament, Tinvold, became the first national legislative body in the world to give women the right to vote in a general election. Essentially, due to its history of self-rule, despite vassalage to greater kings, it maintained a tradition of self-government until today. Finally, another autonomous zone, in this case of Denmark, is Greenland. It is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. Though physiographically a part of the continent of North America, Greenland has been politically and culturally associated with Europe, specifically Norway and Denmark, the colonial powers, as well as the nearby island of Iceland, for more than 1,000 years. The majority of its residents are Inuit, whose ancestors migrated from Alaska through northern Canada, gradually settling across the island by the 13th century. Both of the parties which dominate Greenland's politics advocate for their independence. In 2008, they had a non-binding referendum in which self-governance won, with 21,000 votes against 6,000, a pretty big win. Right now, Greenland's head of state is still the Danish monarch, and the Queen's government in Denmark appoints a high commissioner to represent it on the island. However, they are represented in Denmark's parliament by 2 members and have their own internal parliament. Many state that independence could come as soon as 2021, as it will mark the 300th anniversary of Danish colonial rule. And those are a few more autonomous areas in the world. If you haven't checked out the first part of this video on my channel, go check it out through the link in the description. And thanks to That Is Interesting for being up for this collaboration. His channel is really cool, so make sure to subscribe to catch more videos. As for me, I'll hopefully see some of you on my channel for more general knowledge.